Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 4th of March. So, where to from here then? Let's have a look at the news events. I did see late last night that one of the nuclear stations nuclear power stations in Ukraine was under a major fire. Whether they've managed to control it, I'm not sure, but it certainly looked rather grim, and that could have is having quite a knock-on effect on the markets, as probably expected. Now, as I said, let's have a look at the news events for this morning or today. Let's get the calendar. It looks a bit thin there because it's the wrong day. Let's get the right day. Non-farms, it is the right day. Average earnings, obviously the key inflationary number of the non-farms, but non-farms this afternoon, it could give us opportunities to trade before, or we might get opportunities to trade before that time, but it might be a bit afterwards if there's some decent movement around it. I have a feeling it could be a bit of a non-event, but just a feeling. Anyway, that's where we are there. Let's just look at where this gives us an idea. The yields have come off over the last week or so, building a gain at the moment, but we'll look at it on the chart. It's easier. Right. Morning, guys. Let's get have a look through, start looking at forex markets then. Initially looking at euro dollar, and well, you can see yesterday sold off, continuation today. There was a couple of opportunities through last day or so to get into positions. Yesterday it was quite tight, but there were opportunities to get in, and eventually moved off south. I don't know why I'm looking down there, it's up here. It broke down eventually, as I said. Today, looking at this market, looking at where we're going, we do have the daily pivot above, which we got some divergence down the bottom here. We could get a bounce. Once again, as I've been saying most of this week, I'd rather be selling into the retracement. So for me, to sell here is a bit iffy, but to wait for a retrace would be better, and then just see how it moves into that. But looking at the retracement on the euro to the downside. The pound continues to chop along here. In fact, the pound has held up relatively well on the daily basis overall. Hasn't had the same old slide, but all the same, it's still for me a bearish trade rather than the bullish trade I'm looking for on it. Looking to play those shorts to the downside. It's in a bit of no man's land, halfway trapped between its daily pivot, its yesterday's lows, and then the S1 here, sort of in that. To take a short, well, the options, unless it really gets a bit of a wiggle on and runs into the week's lows, there's not much in it on the Friday, so we'll see what happens. But maybe I'll catch something off the shorter time frames on that and see if I can trade it down. But certainly the euro's been moving better. Dollar yen, it's another chop fest really. You just see it's an inverted cable really, almost. Same sort of setup in terms of it's really a long play. If I was going to trade it, but maybe it's got more opportunity today than some other days. But daily pivot just above there at the moment. Maybe a break of that would be a bit more bullish back for the highs. But as ever with the yen, it's I mean, last night, let's say last night, the Asian session there, selling off quite strongly at the end of the market. Just after, in the beginning of the day, selling off quite strongly, but we'll see how it shapes up. It's a proper risky one in terms of it could go either way with the risk on or off. Aussie dollar, this is more of a go-to if you want a long trade. It's been pushing up and pushing up. This is where the money flow seems to be running. Looking across each of the time frames, just waiting for the right opportunity. It's recovered from the sell-off there at midnight, but gone a bit too far at the moment. Maybe if it retraces, we'll have a look at it. But it has more. It's certainly stepping up, pulling back, retracing, pushing off. It's just a case of being a bit patient, waiting for the flag pattern or whatever it is to trigger. But looking bullish on the Aussie. Canadian dollar, that's also at the moment, well, erring towards the more bullish side. But when you're looking on a daily basis, it looks alright. Pig's ear. Lower highs, lower lows still through that. It's strengthened for quite some time, leading into yesterday, and then yesterday really just gave it all back. And as we look at it today, then higher lows, higher highs on the shorter time frame here. It's a bit of an in-betweener for me. I'll just see how the price actually starts moving, but remember we've got non-farms later. It's only US non-farms there. We haven't got the Canadian non-farm, so it may be a bit easier to trade. Right, okay, let's have a look across the commodity side of things. He says, clicking on gold. Here we go. So I did expect to see gold this morning. Having heard the news late last night, I thought we might see gold pushing up even further. It's dilly-dallied somewhat. It's had some attempts in the last 4 hours or previous 4 hours there to break those prior highs. Not managed at the moment, but maybe if we get some volume, it could be a bit of a trigger point. There'll be stops, I'm sure, for the shorters above those highs. But when you look at it on an hourly time frame, it's been looking quite messy yesterday. Yes, it did start going from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but it was a bit giving everything back in the sort of morning session or late afternoon session, beg pardon. Anyway, looking soft. Got the higher lows, higher highs still there, so it's got some potential, but I'm not personally interested at the moment. Oil. So oil yesterday running into its monthly R3, reacting in that area. No surprise there. There's lots of potential of oil coming onto the market, but from reserves being released. But realistically, I don't think that's going to make a great deal, and I think it's still the risk sits and the potential is still to the upside. Picking the entries, picking the timing is important. Personally, I'm still would be looking for an afternoon trade on this. There is a trend line that's running across the highs. Let's pop it on. There is this trend line running across the highs there. Maybe later on a break of that sort of area above its daily pivot, I could get bullish on it. But for now, it's erring on that sort of. I mean, it's a sort of triangle pattern. It's a break of the low wouldn't be out of place, but I'd just be a bit wary on the break of the lows unless something's resolved in Ukraine. I'd be just remain bullish. Okay, guess the commodities. Let's switch markets and switch charting package and run over here. Let's go to the crypto market first, and you see there's some big old retracements running this morning. It's already down 1,000 on Bitcoin. Yesterday, again reacting. Stronger US dollar. We could see this coming off even some more. We'll just see how the morning shapes up. It could take a bounce off the 34. For me, I keep on saying a break of the 46 area is where I think the action will be. It might be a bit of a battle, but it could also be a good one. Other markets then, Ethereum still selling off at this stage. It's the same. Well, the dollar strength through these markets is the same right the way through. Just a bit less pronounced on things like Binance, so BNB. Okay, not much more to go on there because it's the same old story on all of them. Indices. Let's have a look. So well down. There we go. Okay, I know it's a bit of a groundhog day when I'm saying I'm bearish on this, but I'm bearish on this. So the CSI 300 remains well, gap down, selling off, and Nikkei selling off. Equity markets have they're in a bad place, but I can't see them being bought too well at the moment. Looking through Nifty 50. Again, yesterday's selling off. Okay, it's a green bar on my chart here, but remember it's gapped right the way down. It's been lower. Yes, it might consolidate a little bit about here, but I remain on the bearish side there. Looking at the European markets, then the CAC first this morning already down, making new near-term lows. It must be quite a low actually for the CAC. Let's just have a look, but yeah, it's broken through some previous lows there, some support areas. It's arguably still sitting on a pivotal area around this sort of 62.50 area, but again, still looking very weak as we run into next week. CAC, the DAX, again, it's been selling off ever since it broke the trend line there, pretty much. Retracements are very short-lived, and it's been running south, and the only direction I trade it is to the downside. FTSE can't see this at the moment, the open market, but this will open down, judging on what's happening elsewhere, but looking very bearish there. Now a break of those earlier week, late last week moves. That's it. Monday's moves. It will be even more bearish on the FTSE for now. So all looking a bit iffy. Looking across the pond to the US, same old story really. Yesterday it couldn't get. It was pushing up there, couldn't hold the gains. Sold off on the S&Ps. Nasdaq off and looking soft. As I said, it's under tested the underside of the trend line there, and just a whole pattern there. It's really a shorts market, as is the Dow Jones. Did manage better than most of the markets here, closing slightly up on the day, but doji bar, look, it's a weak sign of a bit of status quo, a bit of weakness, and it's broken down so far. Okay, so what do I expect? Probably more of the same. Unless we see something change in the Ukraine, I think these markets are looking on the weaker side. Okay, that is it for me. I wish you an absolute great day, great weekend. Remember those guys that will be looking for the morning outlook and these videos on the YouTube site on Monday. It will be from the link I've just put below the page, so it will come from the Pivot Trader YouTube site. Have a great weekend. Take care. Wish you all the best.